What happens when you combine a chic 1880s silver mining town with a vibrant wine and food event? You get the Park City Wine Festival happening October 2 through 4, 2025 in Park City, Utah. We're doing double duty today, combining the In Good Taste Denver podcast and the Real Food Traveler podcast with my guest, Kristen Slater, who's the event director for the Park City Wine Festival and CEO and co-owner of Team Player Productions. I'm Courtney Drake McDonough, the publisher and managing editor of both the In Good Taste Denver blog and the RealFoodTraveler.com digital magazine, and the host of this joint podcast. Kristen, welcome to this special episode.
Thank you so much for having me. We're thrilled to be here.
Now, you and I were talking before we hit record that it's a stormy day here in Colorado. Feels nice and crisp and fall-like, which is very suitable since your event is going to be in early October in Utah, and hopefully it's going to be a magnificent fall there and just a lovely time of year.
It is. The leaves change a little bit later there, so it's really cool to kind of get the fall in Colorado and then go to Park City and get it all over again in the mountains there. It's really beautiful.
That's an excellent point. So we're doing this as a combined podcast because for people in states near Utah, like I am in Colorado, getting to the Park City Wine Festival can be as easy as a really quick flight or a doable, just a little bit over a half a day drive. And for everyone else around the country and internationally, it's a great event worth traveling to because not only is the event great, but the destination and setting of Park City, Utah is too. So let's now talk about the upcoming Park City Wine Festival. Tell us, overall, what's the event about?
We really are just highlighting the food and wine in Park City. We have wineries from all over the world, which is really fun, that are all coming for this event. We're highlighting local restaurants and really getting into the flavors of Park City and their phenomenal restaurant scene, along with just, the general splendor of Park City and the fall atmosphere that we were talking about there. So it really is a perfect culmination of all of those things.
Now, your company, Team Player Productions, is Colorado based, and you put on some really great events here that are very well known. What led you to venture to Park City for this event?
Yeah, so this event actually started before I owned the company with my husband, but this event started many, many years ago. We took it over in 2019, which was a bad year to take it over with 2020 around the corner. But it has been really great to see like the restaurants coming back in Park City. We specialize in food and wine events in Colorado, so we do a very similar event in Vail, in Breckenridge, also in Big Sky. So Park City has been one of our favorites for a long time. I really love Park City. It's just so easy to get to, especially from Colorado. It's only an hour and a half flight and then about 30 or 40 minutes up to from Salt Lake Airport to the venue. So really easy to get to. It definitely doesn't have any of that Denver to the mountains traffic that you see here. So that's definitely a nice change.
Yeah, that was such a surprise for me when the first time we went to Salt Lake City was that we could be in the mountains like that,
It's so
ski.
easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. So what would you say it is about Park City that kind of lends itself really well to this kind of festival?
Their local restaurants are really incredible. We're really lucky to partner with so many of them. We have over 12 different restaurants that we're partnering with for paired dinners and another six or seven that are coming to the grand tasting. So that really is like kind of one of the jewels of Park City. Their main street is also just incredible. Um, that's one of like my favorite parts of going to Park City and producing this event is just their main street's really it's beautiful. It's so historic. There's some really cool stuff happening there, really great shopping. So it's more than just the restaurants. As a mountain town, it really is so beautiful.
I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit here because you were generous enough to provide us with promo codes both for In Good Taste Denver and for Real Food Traveler to get $10 off any grand tasting tickets. So, and that's one of the big all-inclusive events that you offer with the Park City Wine Festival. Can you tell us what that's like? What happens when you do that event?
Yeah, so the grand tasting, it is all inclusive. So all of your food and drink is included. You won't pay anything on top in additional to the ticket. There's live music. We have over 50 different wine booths happening there with over 250 different wines to taste, which is really exciting. A lot of them also, if you're from Utah, aren't available in Utah readily. So we ship them in special for the event, which is really cool. We'll have over 10 different restaurants who are serving food at the grand tasting. So we call it a walkabout tasting. So you really get to kind of choose your own adventure. We have a lot of people who, pick like, oh, I want white wine today, or I want red wine, or I only want to do wines I've never tasted or international wines. So I think the grain tasting's kind of my favorite because it really is like a choose your own adventure. You really get to get into the wines that you love, and that doesn't have to be something that the rest of your group loves. Whereas like if you were to go to a restaurant, you're really committing to like one bottle of wine, or you want to get something that everyone likes, you can really be together but not have it drinking the same wines while you're at the grand tasting.
That's a really good point. Great way to look at it. And where in Park City is the event held, especially the grand tasting? Because I know the restaurant events kind of move around to different locations, but what about the grand tasting events?
The grand tastings at Canyons Village. So a lot of our larger tastings happen kind of within the Canyons Village area. We also have the Best of Fest happening at the Pendry Park City, but the grand tasting is all outdoors in the beautiful Pendry Plaza. It's really central, so like there's a lot of hotels around. It's really easy to access. They have a stage built in there. It's just a really beautiful outdoor venue. So you get the fall colors alongside all of your wine and food for the day.
Wonderful. Since you've been doing this since 2019, do you have any kind of insider tips for how people can really make the most of the festival? Things they might not know about if they've never been.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to tell people if they want to just kind of schedule one wine event per day. We have over 25 different events happening throughout the weekend, but if you do more than one in a day, it can get a little bit intimidating or like just a little too drunk, We want to make sure you can enjoy all the wine. So kind of focusing on one event per day, while also filling in with some of the other great Park City activities that there are. So Thursday we have our paired wine dinners, which are phenomenal. We have 10 of those dinners happening around Park City. They each have a different theme, they each have a different winemaker, and you really get to see the passion come through with the chefs creating a meal just for that night. It's always off menu. It's always with a wine partner. And it's really fun to see them get creative in their space. So those are definitely the highlight of Thursday. Friday, we have the grand tasting or Best of Fest as a larger event. But then we also have like you can go on a hike with a winemaker and then have a paired lunch with them after. We have several different lunch options on Friday as well. And then Saturday we have lunch options as well as the grand tasting. My personal favorite day to do the grand tasting is Friday, just because it's kind of the VIP without paying for it, kind of insider tip. It usually doesn't sell out on Friday, whereas it will on Saturday. So you're kind of getting a more exclusive experience at the festival without paying for that intimate level.
That's a great tip. What about super practical things like what kind of footwear you should wear? Like this is not an event for stilettos.
Absolutely. Definitely not. So the whole event is outdoors. So we do recommend more practical footwear. It's also October in the mountains, so it can get a little chilly. We usually recommend, light layers, um, comfortable footwear, definitely. Keep an eye on the weather. We have had rain before, but knock on wood, we usually have great weather for this weekend. Um, Otherwise, just remembering that you're at altitude still, making sure that you're hydrating, that you're eating before you go. There's plenty of food at the event, but just creating that base layer.
Right, right. And sunscreen too.
Sunscreen,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. Okay, great. What goes into planning an event of this scale? I can't even imagine. I mean, especially since you're bringing in so many wineries and winemakers and you're including all these different restaurants and their chefs and who maybe have their own ideas about what they want to cook. How do you put all this together?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up with the paired experiences is our team's kind of favorite. It's kind of like putting together a puzzle. So let's say like we have a restaurant and normally they do Italian food, but their chef is from Spain and he really wants to do something off menu that he wouldn't normally get to cook. And like, I think to me, that's one of the coolest parts of these events is like when they get to really show off their passions and like do something that out of the ordinary for themselves. So we love to showcase stuff like that. But maybe that wouldn't pair as well with an Italian wine. We can bring in someone else or like a winery that's not usually even on their menu. And then it's really cool to see them collaborate on these dinners. And then a lot of times, like they'll end up with that wine on their menu because it was so cool for them to get to work together and they would never would have made that connection otherwise. But otherwise, we're bringing in wineries from all over the world. Utah being a control liquor state is definitely more complicated than our Colorado or Montana events. We actually have to order every single bottle through the state liquor store. Whereas like it's just really different rules in Colorado. So it definitely complicates things on that end. It elongates the planning process for us, but it does make for such a spectacular event and like very intentional and purposeful that everyone is really committed to being there, which is really cool.
Wow, that's fascinating. I knew that about Utah, but I hadn't really thought about that in terms of you procuring the wines too, that you have to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. If you haven't been to Utah before, there's definitely a lot of strange liquor laws. Make sure you bring your ID with you everywhere. They don't care if you look over 75, they want to check your ID. Many bars and restaurants will also scan your ID. If you're going into a restaurant, they will a lot of times require you to order food before you at the same time as you order your drink. So whereas in other places, you can just order a drink while you peruse the menu. They want you to be placing that at the same time. So it is just like very interesting and different among a lot of other
Yeah.
strange Utah laws. But
Yeah.
we're happy to work within those, and it is, it adds variety to our lives.
Right, right. It's worth the extra hassle, because Salt Lake City is beautiful and itself,
Absolutely.
and Park City's just so easy to get to from there, and Salt Lake City is where you're going to fly into. So yeah, that's a great suggestion. How long does it take you to plan this event?
We open registration for the wineries and restaurants in February.
Wow,
So it is about 9 months that we're planning this event.
wow,
Um, Kind of lovingly, we say that we start the day after it ends, getting dates on the calendars and such. But as far as like really diving into the planning process, it's about 9 months.
wow. That's incredible. So how can people learn more about the Park City Wine Festival, including not just the events that are available, because some of them are sold out already, bravo, and many are not. So how can they learn more about the festival and the schedule and buy tickets?
Our full schedule is available at parkcitywinefest.com. And from there, you can look at all of the restaurants participating, the full schedule, all of the wineries that are coming, as well as our lodging deals. We have some great lodging deals that um, are all walking distance to the Grand Tasting and Best of Fest, which is really fantastic.
Well, that's just another element of planning that you've had to do. That's amazing, but
Yeah.
that's really nice. That's great. Makes it easy and you don't have to worry about driving afterwards either.
Yeah. We have phenomenal partners, especially in and around the Canyons Village. We work with the Pendery, with the Hyatt, with all of Canyons Village, with Sundial, Westgate. So there's great hotel options, all walking distance, and a lot of them have great shuttles too that go down to Main Street. So you really don't need a car rental either to come to the event, which is really nice. It feels like in a lot of Colorado mountain towns, you're going to have a harder time without a car, but Park City really is pretty easy, and Uber is very accessible there, which is great.
Okay, good points. So again, the event is October 2nd through 4th, 2025. I always want to mention that in case somebody's listening to this next year, they don't get confused. So this is for the 2025 festival. And again, our thanks to Kristen and Team Player Productions for providing us with $10 off any grand tasting tickets. So the grand tasting events on Friday and Saturday, multiple chunks of time for those. And you can either use, because either one will work. Either use In Good Taste Denver, which is one word, or Real Food Traveler, which is also one word, at checkout on the website. How about social media? Where can people follow you to get the most up-to-date information there?
Park City Wine Fest is our handle on Facebook and Instagram.
Park City Wine Fest. Okay, great. We will have a link to all those, including the website, so people can get to those quickly and easily. Is there anything else you want us to know about before we make plans to go?
Absolutely. No, we're just so excited to have all these winemakers and restaurants involved. It really is so fun to see them get excited about their job and putting their best foot forward on things that they're passionate about. So I think that's what I'm most excited for the festival.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I can't wait to go back to Park City, and I've never attended your event, so I'm excited to partake of it. We'll be there
We're
and
excited to host you.
yeah, and we'll be there doing some live coverage, so that people can get a sense of what it's like, and if they have to miss it this year, they can definitely make plans for next year. So we'll end right there, and I will say that we already have articles on both ingoodtastedenver.com and on realfoodtraveler.com that give some essentials or about the festival and the events within it. And so we will add the link to this podcast to those so that you can be perusing those articles and you'll see photos on there and links to everything while listening to this podcast. And Kristen, I appreciate you doing this double podcast with me again. I think it's always nice for people to get a sense of the person, the people behind some of these wonderful events and to know what goes into them, and that you've put so much thought and effort into putting together an event that's really fun and educational and interesting for people. So thank you again for partnering with us for this.
Of course. Thanks for having me. We're excited to host you in Park City.
Yeah, it'll be great. The In Good Taste Denver podcast and the Real Food Traveler podcast are both available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Amazon, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. And they're both podcasts are also available through our respective websites, ingoodtastedenver.com and realfoodtraveler.com. Until next time, whichever podcast you usually listen to, we look forward to talking to you again, and we'll see you next time.